Good. How you doing, Brian?
Good.
I got the day right this time.
When you called in yesterday, I literally had a 2 o'clock client calling in. So I
Oh,
got done with that person. I was like, I better double check her text to make sure I wasn't wrong. So we got it figured out.
yes,
Did
indeed.
you psych yourself up? Have to do it all over again today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Had a client, so I was like, oh, okay, all right, I was like, gotta go, gotta go, and just trying to, just get clarity and just being real and hoping that this message helps other people like you've been doing on there. So I don't,
There's no doubt it's going to.
yeah, like I don't take it lightly. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I never got that suspicion about you at all. So my voice is a little shot. So I'm going to try to keep it deeper, or I'm going to try to keep it going to the hour and a half, but it's starting to go a little bit.
gotcha. No,
I've been fighting this. I don't know. My family's been fighting this crud all week.
yeah.
I was the last one to get it, and I haven't been sick. I was sick Monday, but
Oh,
other than that, it's just been like I was tired. But today, it's just the voice.
gotcha, man. And
So
well, that's all right. Well, you have a very distinct voice anyways, you know what I mean? So,
I sound like Demi Moore right now.
oh, shoot. Well, we'll keep that between us. No, no. I won't tell nobody if you don't tell nobody. No.
I won't tell her. Actually, I was going to say on the podcast. I'll tell everybody.
Gotcha.
Jimmy, do you have any questions before we get started?
No, I just kind of got my little notes that you sent me and just kind of I'm gonna try to stay on track as best as I can. And
You take it the direction you want to go. I mean, I want you to come out authentically who you are. Just be. I want you to, don't. If you have other things that you want to say that are on those questions, you go, man. Because I want to promote. I want to promote your app, your website, your business, and all that. All that stuff will be included in the body of the podcast as well. So
okay.
you can click on and go right to. I don't know how to include a text that app link, but if there's a way, we'll do that. If there's a way, we'll do it. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
something we can do.
One thing
Definitely your web.
I definitely don't want to say certain instructors because they're still in the field and I don't want them to get the bad impression. So I'm just going to say my coaches out of respect to them. Like I told you, the person that I had, like who was there, but I'm not going to say his name. I'm just going to say instructors just had that in there because I think the ass whooping stories will be good.
I love it.
That was one of them, but I'm just going to like say very vaguely, you know what I mean? So as long as you're not like, oh, what was that instructor? I'll say their instructors' names that had an impact on me, but not during the situations that put me through that I put myself through that. You know what I mean?
I understand completely, but you are going to tell your ass kicking 16 times.
Oh, yeah, that was on there. I was on there. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, I don't want to. Well, it's
Yeah, we have to share that with you. And Jimmy, I have a question for you. How do you pronounce Jen's last name? Chelshik.
Nick. Oh my God, don't do. You're asking the wrong person, but I just call him
I'm
Chelzovic.
just gonna say Jen K.
Yeah, or
I was gonna
Chelzovic.
give a shout out to her for introducing us.
Yeah, you can say Chelzovic. I think that's Chelzovic.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that way it's easier because it was pretty cool having Hawken coming down here the other day, and I was like, oh, I had to show him some stuff. I'm like, dude, you can't go hard now. You put on a little bit bigger size, and
He's the big guy, isn't he? He's
oh,
a tall kid.
yeah, he's about just under, I would say like 5'11" or close to 6 foot,
Okay.
200
Okay.
pounds.
Yeah, he's definitely looks like a warrior.
Oh, heck yeah, he is. And it's cool to see him grow up. You know what I mean? See a lot of kids grow up and people on there. So it's really, really, really cool. And to still stay connected, even though we're thousands of miles away. But like I was telling you in the text, like, man, we could cover so much more ground with the connections of this world to just make them personable and relatable and real and genuine. And there's so much hogwash stuff out there that's fake and
I know
the illusion and all that stuff.
We can use our technology so for so much good, that's why so many people don't. They use it for garbage and politics and drama and negativity. But I just love the fact that you have that mindset. When you sent me that video, I I watched it and I sent it to Jen. I thought she had seen it. She goes, I have never seen it. I haven't seen this yet. I said, oh, I thought you had. I said, Jimmy just sent it to me. I said, it was that for sure you had seen it. But she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of him. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah. Well, and I kind of keep hawk like it's on my website, it's on my like YouTube page, but it's like, I don't like I'm more on the internal instead of the external, but I gotta get external stories out there so people know that I'm here to serve them. Like, man, and this is it. Like, but I hate I'm not. I'd rather be the person behind the scenes. I've already had my show day. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, you're not one of a lot of self promotion, and I think that. I think that's a lot of people fight that, and I always tell people if what you sell is great, then then self promotion is great. If what you sell is shit, your self promotion should be shit. It shouldn't even be allowed.
Yep.
So I mean, what you sell is the world needs right now. So many people are craving it. So I'm gonna just throw together a bio because I want you to talk about yourself. So I'm just gonna share a few things from our previous conversation.
Okay.
So what will happen, Jimmy, is in a few minutes I'll say, okay, Jimmy, now we're gonna record. And there'll be about a second, 1 second of silence. Then I'll start talking. I'll go through the analytics as of today. I'll read a letter that was sent to us. Then I'll talk about you. Then I'll say, Jimmy Smith, welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast. And then we'll just start talking. You can say, thank you, Brian, I'm glad to be here, whatever. Then I'll start asking you questions.
All right. Sounds good.
When I'm talking at the beginning, kind of doing the introduction, everything you say or do is being recorded.
Okay.
I had a guy this summer, a children's author, and I told him that, well, as I'm giving my introduction, and back then I didn't have the voiceover guy that we hired to do the actual introduction. So my introduction was long, and he was making a cup of coffee and banging his cup around, and I'm like, oh man, he was making so much noise. But yeah, so I mean, if there's nothing, I mean, I'm gonna check take you out my speakerphone here, my headphone.
Gotcha.
Everything, the volume is good,
and you can hear me okay, right?
You just fine.
Okay,
just gotta make sure it's picking up on the microphone here. Thank you. Just say something.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Yep, you're good. I'm gonna turn the volume up on one and down on the other. And I mean, I've adjusted as we go along, so yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna adjust the microphone just a smidgen here. Just right, where it sounds a little bit gummy at times. That's good right there. All right, yeah, just say hello. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yep. Okay, we're good. All right. Well, without further ado, if you're okay with it, we'll get started.
Absolutely. Doors shut, dogs outside, and I got my water.
If we hear dogs barking, that's perfectly fine. I've heard dogs barking. My dog has barked. I've heard car alarms go off. I mean, people kind of like the fact that it's just two friends talking over a beer or a cup of coffee on the phone. So
right on.
Right. Well, without further ado, Jimmy, we'll start recording.
Sounds good.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Bamboo Lab podcast. This is not the sexy voice of Demi Moore. This is your host, Brian Bosley, with a pretty messed up voice today. This is we've been fighting the crud in my family for the past couple of weeks, and this is the 4th podcast we've shot this week, so I don't have much of a voice. But I have a feeling with the guest we have on here today, my excitement level will remain very high because he is one exciting man with a lot of energy to share. But before we start talking about our guest and introducing him, I want to share this week's analytics as of today, which is January 12th, 2023. We are being subscribed to on 6 continents, 43 countries, all 50 U.S. states, and now we are 1,123 cities across this globe. So I'm going to thank all of you in the Bamboo Pack for listening in, sharing, rating, viewing. Please, as we have our guest Jimmy on today, please, if you like what he says, and I know you will, please smash that like button, rate, review us, subscribe, and by all means, share it with 3 people you love. Share, post it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, your LinkedIn accounts, whatever you have. Get his message out there because I think you're going to love it. All right, real quickly, I want to read one nice heart letter that came in last week. And this one said, Brian, my grandfather recently passed away due to his fight with cancer. As I was listening to one of your podcasts about Sisu, it made me think of him and how it was such an encompassing word to describe him. I referenced your podcast in my eulogy as it was so moving to me. Thank you for all you do and have done on your podcast. I listen weekly and I can't thank you enough. So to that Cooper, to the person who wrote that in, I want to thank you for being such an avid subscriber and listener. And God rest in peace to your grandfather. Godspeed him on his journey. And I appreciate all of you. All right. Today we have a man that I've gotten over the past couple of months. And I want to shout out to a special lady, Jen Chelspick, for introducing us after the podcast I did with her a few weeks ago. I got a chance to talk to our guest on the phone, and we actually had a podcast scheduled. I messed up my schedule, and we had to reschedule for today. So we are recording today from the beautiful shores of Lake Superior in Marquette, Michigan. We have Jimmy Smith from Bend, Oregon. Jimmy has an interesting story, man. This guy had an interesting childhood. He's 48 years old now. As a young man, he lived in several boys' homes, was in juvie due to needing a place to live, just was not really going in that standard path that we see people going on who are successful in life. But all of a sudden, he found the beautiful world of martial arts, and martial arts saved his life. Jimmy has done some pretty cool things that you'll see. He trains people. He really focuses a great deal on training fitness and martial arts to people who are a little more needy. He's got an app and website, which we are going to include on the body of today's podcast. I'm going to urge you throughout today's podcast to check what he's doing. He's got some great courses. He can teach you wherever you live in the world. He can teach you. And this guy was a stunt double in Hollywood, which is one of the things that I was a little kid. I wanted to be a stuntman when I was really little, probably for about a 6-month time frame. This guy did it. The stunt double from Corey Feldman and Chad McQueen, Steve McQueen's son. So from Marquette, Michigan to Bend, Oregon, from hands of destruction to hands of construction, Jimmy Smith, welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast.
Right on, Brian. I appreciate that, man. What an intro. Hopefully I can live up to that, man. But
you already have. You already have. All right, so Jimmy, over the course of the past month and a half, I've gotten to know a little bit about you, and of course, I'm following you on social media now. But the Bamboo Pack, many of them don't know who you are. So can you share us a little bit about yourself, your childhood, where you came, whatever you'd like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Missouri, pretty much in and out of foster homes at the age of 3. My mom was on the wrong side of the fence with, crimes and drugs and stuff that was not up to par. So through that, she had to put us up, her kids. I have a older brother, a younger brother, and 2 older sisters, and a younger sister. Had to put us up into foster homes, and we all kind of grew up in the inner city of LA. From born in Missouri to transferring to living in Texas, tried to stay with the grandparents. That didn't quite work out as well. Just didn't work out. And so through LA, in and out of boys' homes, foster homes, all of this, we were like, I call it like a FedEx package, man. We were shipped from one home to the other home, just basically for foster parents to get the money for them at that time, especially if they had siblings in there. They made more money having us all together. So through that, we all kind of went up and grew up in the inner city of LA, and we learned a lot of life lessons. Brought up in a Black foster home, raised up by Hispanics. We were a big minority in the inner city, but then luckily enough, I ended up finding, martial arts and fitness literally saved my hiney throughout that, because I was a skinny kid, fear, lack confidence, like insecurities. I mean, I was worried about getting beat up, and I did get beat up like quite a bit of times. And I figured, like, you know what? I was one of the fastest runners, man. If there was an Olympics back there, I could have beat any Olympian, because I was running for dear life. And when you're running and fear comes in you, man, that's a whole nother ball game. Through that, like luckily I came in with some great instructors. Art Camacho literally was the martial arts instructors were my father figures because I never knew my father. Um, all I knew is that he was a drunk and he played in a rock and roll band. And last time he was in prison. So it was like, came up fatherless, but I turned to martial arts and role models that I really looked up to these guys as my father figure. So I can't say enough to Art Camacho. Thank you because he's given me the skills that I'm able to carry on and add my own flavor to it with his foundation. Through that, I was able, he works in Hollywood. I was able to be coming in as a stunt double fight choreographer, helping him get beat up. And it was fun. And I was in the movie industry to actually be by his side because I respected him and valued him so much. And the lessons that he's taught me are still carrying on to this day. And he's still in the Hollywood industry. And anytime I go down to LA, I'm like, hey, can I meet up? He's all, you want to meet? We can put you in a movie. I was like, no, I just want to meet up and meet you. So it's like those people that come into your lives for a season or a reason, and it's up to you to figure out how long, where they belong at. Through that, I got involved in sports, football. I was always like afraid and getting hit, contact. Like I hated getting hit. I was petrified. And sports football kind of got me into that. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be pointing the blame or shame at everybody else because I didn't do the right. So I got into wrestling. And there was a great coach, Antonio McKee was a phenomenal wrestler, and his son's till this day is fighting in Bellator, which is really cool to see him grow up and scale. So he also taught me a lot of skills. And in high school, it was a different ideal time I was going through when there was the Rodney King beating where my friends just turned on me just because of the skin color of my and the neighborhood that I lived in. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Where is this? There's no way I'm racist or any of that stuff. So I remember there's a story in high school that I had, and this wasn't a like gang members. I was in a, a, a Hispanic gang because my whole family was raised up in that inner city. So we kind of became part of that neighborhood and part of that lifestyle. And the lifestyle really never set in with me. But I remember one guy, we were in class and I was taking martial arts and I was like, okay, I'm getting my confidence building up. Like, okay, I can do this. I can handle myself by myself. I can conquer my own demons. And I remember this kid like pushed a desk in front of me and or I was sitting in front and he pushed it behind. I just looked at him and I was like, and I turned around, I was like, oh crap. And I could feel my nerves shaking and that nervousness that you're getting in before like a game or any of that. And I was like, okay. Second time he did it, well, I literally picked up the desk and threw it at him with all my strength. And I was like, oh shit, it's on like Donkey Kong. And next thing you know, all we were up in the second story, and all I remember is trying to take him out of the window, and I didn't care if I was going to live or die. I was just like, shit, I'm going to die after here, so I better take him out with me. Long story short, teachers would not. They called security, and they reprimanded us, had us in the office, and it was like and I was nervous. I was like, okay, boom. And so I called my sister who was involved in games. I was like, hey, are you around? No, I'm in trouble. And I was like, oh shit. So you can't come after school and all this stuff. And so long after that day, I had a huge life skill of respect from people. The school, he's like, oh, there's Jimmy. He's the hallway. Not that I was some badass, not even close. I just stood up to this one guy that was a pretty badass himself. I mean, so then next thing what happens, our ego gets ahead of us and I'm thinking like, you know what? I'm walking around thinking I'm on cloud nine, feeling mighty fine. Like, come on, guy, I can take anybody just because of that. And then the confidence of the martial arts built that up. But I started smack talking to all these guys, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get so and so." And I called up my instructor at that time, and I was like, "Hey, can you come here and back me up?" He's all, "Yeah, I can come there and back you up." I was like, "He's all okay," and he was well known from in the community, and nobody messed with him because it was an inner city, and he came up from the streets, and it was like a huge thing of respect. So he showed up, or he was there, and what did I do all day long from morning to afternoon? I was like, oh man, wait till you're coming out. Oh, I can't wait to I'm gonna whoop that butt so bad. Yep, come on, bring it on. So long story short, school was out. I was like, oh yeah, it's on. All I had to have is that one person in my corner to have so much belief in me that I could conquer anything. You know what I mean? So sure enough, 16 people, 16 of the kids, I was smack talking all day long. We go out and my instructor says, okay, hey, there's no weapons. It's a clean fight. You guys step in. You guys do anything out besides just straight fight? Fist of cuffs, we called it. It was like, all right, he's gonna step in. There was no shanks, no knives, nothing. Everybody was like, okay, how this on? Oh yeah, they were on. They were like, oh, finally. And I was like, so next thing you know, I'm like, all right, we're ready. He's like, yep, okay, we're gonna start with one on one, even Steven, all the way across the board. Next thing you know, I get my ass whooped so bad. I was like, whoa, okay, one down. I was like, all right. Could feel like pain, like my ice, my mouse on the ice, or excuse me, my eyes were like swelled like a mouse, like hit so hard. I was like, okay, I can see. Next thing you know, second one comes out. Boom. I was like, oh crap. He got me in a gut shot. I was like, couldn't breathe. He kept on beating me until I kind of curled up like a little baby because I didn't want to get hit anymore. And I was like, I covered up. And I was like, I'm done. What did my instructor say? Nope, go back in. I was like, third one. This went probably for about an hour. It felt like freaking eternity. But this went on till I got my ass whooped 16 different times. I cried. I was giving up, and nope, he didn't let me quit on that. The moral of the story is as you get better in life or whatever, that little confidence, you become more humble, not the other way around. So that was a huge life lesson that that I kept my mouth shut from here on out. I've never, ever uh, had this ever happen again, me being overly cocky or overly confident, because I know that story. Certain things in life stitches into you, and that is a scar that is there forever, but it's also knowing that I could help others in the process. The better you become, the more humble you should become. And
I love this. So Jimmy, are you saying before you during this, did you got your ass kicked 16 times? Was there a 17th time where you won?
Well, yeah, not that day, but not that day.
So you went to bed a little humble.
Oh man, I couldn't even, my ribs, my body hurt. It was like the worst train wreck or accident you could ever be in. Like concussions wasn't what it is to this day. I'm sure I had that. And like, I was just nauseate. I was just dizzy, mouth was swelled shut. I couldn't eat. My jaw was so sore. Like I was on like the soup diet, you know what I mean? Or what they call as a seafood. I seafood, but I can't eat it. You know what I mean? It was like I had to live off liquids for about a week or so. And it was like, oh, what happened? And then sure enough, foster care system comes in and checks on me, and they thought I was physically abused. And I was like, I've been abused, but not like by them this time. You know what I mean? I was in homes, from boys' homes, got molested, beaten, saw friends die in my arms, like next to them, being in the wrong situation, wrong time. People got are in prison, like all of this. So people have like, they call it PTSD. Well, I had life growing up in PTSD, but the one thing that I never stopped was after my instructor, I was so pissed at him. I didn't want to see him. I was like angry, and he's all, nope. He's all, you'll see one day you will appreciate this lesson. I was like, screw you, F off this. But he still came around, and I went back to him, and then we were doing more one-on-ones, and it just taught me in life that no matter what, the person that's, and he said this and it really resonates, the person that makes the most noise has an empty can, or the empty can is the one that makes the most noise out there. And it was like, ooh. So I see kids, I'm still a volunteer coach to this day. I have, through all my trials and tribulations, like I love helping people. I love being the process. I can resonate with people that's been bullied, women that's been beaten. When my mom was coming in and out and she would come and get me at foster homes, I would have to go back and physically see her boyfriend or her, whoever she was with, beat the crap out of her. And at a young age, I couldn't do shit. Now it's a different story. I can empower people to have the belief in themselves, to help themselves. And seeing my mom tried to protect me, and she's like, don't come in. And I was like, no, you're my mom. And I remember one vivid story, man, which was heartbreaking for me, is when my mom, we were at Jack in the Box, my mom, my caseworker, and the foster parent that I was with at that time. And she knew that this person, this foster parent, Davy Williams Bates, I still stay in contact to him today, is the only real father that I will ever know in my life, it seems like. Um, we were at Jack in the Box, and I remember the caseworker, my mom broke down in tears and like, Jimmy, hey, you're in a better place. And as a kid at a young age, that was the worst thing you could ever imagine. You're here in this life alone, and you want your mom. You want to have that belonging, and your mom is your belonging. And when she said that you're in a better place, I never understood it back then. But now I am forever grateful that she saw that, because of the life. Who knows where I would be right now if it wasn't for her good choice with my foster father that literally changed my life and got me involved in judo and other programs, and taekwondo, aikido, kajukenpo, kali, like every martial arts that you can imagine. I was like, oh, I was just soaking up knowledge because I wanted to be a sponge to protect myself for the rest of my life. And through that, I had a lot of anger and stuff growing up, being in the foster homes. I had a lot of just anger. It was anger, and I still have anger, but I'm kind of knows how to channel it and how to direct it better to be constructive as of destructive. And so through that, like I resulted to sparring, like, oh yeah, street fighting. And I started getting better, and I started fighting, and I was doing illegal fights or street fights. Before there was the UFC, there was more street fights, which was a normal fight. And then no holds barred, didn't matter weight class, size, limit, all that. Well, if I could fight one-on-one, that's great. If I got jumped, I got beat up by one guy, I got beat up by five guys. And I also learned how to emulate that into a real life case scenario when I had the gym, to teach people like life is not fair. It's not fair. And it's not going to go your way. You're going to have to adjust and adapt like we all had to. And that's part of life. We're not at the same place where we started, where we are today. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Was there ever a point in time when you were younger where you thought, man, there's a better, easier way to make a living? Pick up a violin or a piano and start playing.
I am a white guy. Yeah.
You can't eat because your mouth is sealed shut. I mean, 16 ass kicking before you get a win in. I mean, there must have been a point where you thought, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah. Well, there was stuff that as I got better, I was on the wrong side of the fence, and I took advantage of people, and it never set in stone with me. I could steal from you, and there wasn't nothing you can do. And I would steal enough to get what I wanted, but I wouldn't take it beyond that point. But because I was involved with the wrong set of guys, I was like, man, they would go to the extremes, and that never set good with me. Through that, it was like, this is not the life. I've been seeing what happens, shootings, helicopters running, we're running for our lives, we're going here. It was like, dude, this is not in here. And it never set inside my heart and my mind. That was that combination. This is not the life I want. I want to get better. And martial arts and fitness. A skinny kid got learning how to lift weights, going there day in and day out, showing up at my instructor's house earlier, having sessions. He was like, damn, don't you sleep? I was like, well, you told me here. He's like, yeah, but I was sleeping in. I was like, man, when they say something, they were my role models. I took into heart. And what they say is, I was like, it's black and white. There's no gray lines. One instructor, it was funny. His name was Robert Redfeather, which is great. I remember training with a Shaolin Kempo down in Long Beach, and it was really, really cool. Through that, he would come in and he would say like, oh yeah, you would he's all, after training, you got to put peanut butter on you because of the natural canola oil. And I was like, what? Like peanut butter? So I was like, okay. And he told me, I was like, all right, I'm going to go grab peanut butter. I went to the store, and unfortunately I didn't have money, so I had to steal it. and I would put peanut butter all on my joints because it would hurt so bad. And then in 2013, I was on the Martial Arts Hall of what is it? The Honors Award down in Burbank. And I got down there, and this was like my instructors and coaches and lives to be on their same level for the dinner table, not anything like, oh, I'm as good as them. No way, but just to be recognized by giving back, by serving people, doing my best. And Robert Redfeather was there, and I was like, finally, I was like, dude, what's up with the peanut butter? He's like, oh, you really did that, huh? He's like, yeah, no, it was just a prank. I was like, you son of a gun, you know how many years I've been putting peanut butter on myself to because I thought the natural canola oil was gonna go in there because you said it. And he just started laughing. I was like, oh man, but I mean, it was good pranks and good things on that time as well. You know what I mean? So these guys like
I've got a
stories.
question for you right now. At
Yes,
48 years old, are you happy in life?
I am. I'm getting there. I still have demons I have to slay every day. And it's just like the story, like there's those two wolves. There's a good wolf and the bad wolf. Which one are you gonna feed? The one you pay attention to is the one you're gonna feed. So I have rituals and habits that I have to do consistently for myself to be the best version of me. And I'm working through a lot of issues. And I've masked them for so long that now I'm like, I don't, I just got to be the best version of me so I can serve people at their level. And I used to put other people first. And now I'm starting to put myself first.
I'm going to recommend a book, Jimmy, that actually one of the podcast subscribers recommended to me called The Untethered Soul. And it talks a lot about that, of how we can allow those negative energies, those negative memories, and say negative experience to flow through our existence versus us, capturing them and holding on to them. It's helped me tremendously. I'm on maybe halfway through the book right now, and I have found a great deal of value in this book. And when we're done, I'm going to send you a copy. So
Oh, very
I
cool.
just want to recommend it. I want to capture for a moment for the Bamboo Pack listeners out there, especially for those who are driving, hiking, you're on your treadmill, you're going for a walk, run, and you may, sometimes it's a hard capturing all this amazing wisdom. I just want to capture Jimmy's story for a minute. He was born in Missouri, went to Texas, tried to live with grandparents. That didn't work out. Went to inner city LA, went from several foster homes. Grew up, really on the mean streets of LA. He stole. He was beaten. He was molested. He saw his mother get beaten. I mean, he had friends die in his arms. He's got a lot of anger. He's got PTSD. All that. That's a bucket full of stuff to deal with. One of those alone could destroy a person if they allowed it. So I want you to take your story, parallel it next to Jimmy's. Don't compare the two. Let's place them next to each other and parallel them. And think about the stuff you're going through out there, because every one of you is going through something. Some of you are going through some deep, deep stuff. Some of you have done so, or you're going to in the future. And most of us are all going through something. And think about where he's come from that position in life at a young age to making a life choice at some point. He challenged his assumptions. He made some life decisions to decide, especially after getting his ass kicked 16 times in a row in one day. It woke him up to realize that confidence breeds humility. It doesn't breed arrogance and cockiness. And then he sits in 2013 in the martial arts honors board, this big table with all these gurus and instructors and heroes of his. Think of that. And how he did that was through a heart of service. You haven't heard this yet, but you will. You've done some already. But when I spoke with Jimmy 6 weeks ago, or 4 or 5 weeks ago, he talked about how much his sole purpose in life is to serve the world, to serve others, to serve people through helping them to gain confidence and strength through fitness and martial arts. And he completely reinvented himself and went in a completely different and amazing direction that he would have been a statistic had he not chose that. So we all have paths we can choose. We all have choices we can make. And when I asked him the question, are you happy? I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Most honest answer I've heard. Still have some demons to slay. Hell, we all do. But he's getting there. He's light years where he was years ago. So wherever you are now, you can be light years ahead of where you are today. You can start making some of these same types of choices, these tough choices that Jimmy made. So I wanted to recap that, Jimmy. But Jimmy, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm just going to say in the last couple of years, just to capture some new stuff. What would you say is your greatest learning you had in the last 2 years of your life?
The last 2 years of my life is, the pandemic's hit, unfortunately. And this was another thing too, is I opened a gym, a martial arts gym, had it for 15 years here in Bend, Oregon. And when that pandemic hit, it crushed me. I did nothing wrong. I was right up. I did everything that I could, served hundreds, thousands of people in my community. The number one thing that I've learned out of that is about perseverance. And you got to keep going. Like, don't let the setback leave you back there. It's your comeback. Like, I had to adjust. I'm not very educated by college level, but I have the school of hard knocks of just grinding it out and learn and be a student of life and know that through strife and sorrow, there's always going to be a tomorrow, but you got to do your best right here, right now, today. This moment is the most important moment. We looked into the future and then we're like, oh, we get anxiety, stress. I look into the past. I have regret, should have, would have, could have, when the most important moment is being present. And I've learned that with my kids and all that. I own the gym, but the gym really owned me because I was overworked, and I hid behind my work because I didn't have to come home, but I worked my ass off to go down there and work and feel other stories when my daughters, like my wife, literally changed my life for life. And been married with her for going on this year is going to be 25 years. Have three amazing kids. Sasha, who serves in the Marines out in South Carolina and then is married. And my son and Davy Smith is here at home. Annalise is going to college over in Coos Bay wrestling. But through those things is like persevere, be in the present moment, appreciate everything that you have, because I've had many friends pass this last year from suicidal thoughts, from getting overwhelmed, from not being present. And this is a gift for us right here, right now. And no matter where it is, whatever stage you're at in your life, that you're studying at school, you're going for this next exam, you're going for this promotion, appreciate the journey. As easy as it's said, hard as heck to do. And the other thing too is to try to be a practitioner. I'm one of the best damn preachers out there, but I got to practice what I preach.
I like that. I'm just trying to write this down. So to sum that up for Pack, what I got out of that, take notes. I pulled out 3 key words: perseverance, presence, and gratitude. Yeah. I mean, could you not, for those of us who are struggling or a hamster on that wheel and spinning, could you not just apply those 3 things? If you applied more perseverance, more presence in the current moment, and more gratitude for life and what you have, do you think that might help you jump off that hamster wheel, might pull you into that next level of your journey? I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I'd bet my last 7 paychecks. That would make you a huge dent in where you want to go. But Jimmy, I'm going to ask the next question. I do ask everybody, and you can find the answer it. But if you do answer it, we'd like to ask how you did it. So the first question is, what is the most difficult thing you've ever gone through in your life, and how did you overcome it?
Man, there's been so many difficult things, man. I think just like surviving, like you got to have that mindset. Like, I'm going to get through this. Like, there was times where I was like being in the wrong situation and wrong place when I was like in my nets. I just wet myself. I was scared shitless. Like, I got through it. Like, the hard times are a test to your testimony. Your struggles become your strengths. You got to have like something inside of you, and nobody can do this in there. I call it like I have a PhD. I have passion, hunger, and desire. And you got to have something that's inside of you. Nobody can do that. That spark, that ignite. That's hard times are inevitable, man. You're this life, you're above ground is a great day. It's a blessing in disguise. You know what I mean? But you got to realize and not fantasize of some hogwash person or comparison syndrome is just like, hey, I got to be me. So my best thing is like try to be the best version of me and let now that when somebody crosses my paths, oh boy, it's going to be a blessing because I'm going to figure out how I can help them. And my goal is to help 1 million people before I die. It could be as through training, coaching, it could be just letting a person pass on the highway. This person flips me off and I just wink at them or you know what I mean? Like before it was like, oh yeah, it's on, let's go in there. Like I have the skill to do it, but now it's like I'm learning the second half of my life. I got to kill people with kindness as opposed to, like you said, these hands used to be of destruction. Now they're hands of construction to lift anybody up at wherever they're at. And I don't know what I can do or how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do the best that I can by listening to a person and having God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. We need to listen more and shut up a lot more. You know what I mean? And that's just, I don't know if that kind of answers, that's kind of a roundabout question.
Well, I think you answered that question already.
Okay.
When you shared your childhood, in your upbringing,
Yeah.
growing up in your teenage years. So I almost didn't ask the question, but well, to get to your goal of 1 million, I hope we're taking a nice dent out of it today with the bamboo package. I think they're helping a lot of people right now, and including the host himself. I'm taking a lot of notes, and I really liked what you said. You worded what I got was setback to comeback. You turn setback into a comeback. And there's something about that that's so sweet and so simple. And I think what's really refreshing about you, Jimmy, is your vulnerability for a man of a tough exterior, a tough background, who's got skills that the vast majority of human beings don't have and never will have, as far as being able to protect and defend himself and his loved ones. And for you to be this vulnerable, it's just such a powerful. It's so inspiring to me and to my guests. So I'm going to ask you another question, Jimmy. So you're at this age and the stage in your life. What do you consider to be a win for you or a victory?
A win for me right now is building up generational wealth and skill sets for my family. Like, I want to carry on my last name. And I put acronyms to my last name. It's Smith, right? So I want to have people and other people in the community as well. Like, I want other people, wherever I touch them, I want them to have strength. I want them to have that mindset. I want them to have integrity. I want them to train fitness, martial arts, whatever it is. And they have to have their health. So it's strength. That is really what my win is, to let people know that they can have all of that. And what better way? I came up with that last year of my last name. And I would challenge anybody out there to come up with acronyms for your last name that are meaningful and relatable to you, because then it's sustainable and meaningful where it comes from your heart and it will be out there. And we all carry mask inside, like, and to be real and genuine with people and not to mislead or guide or direct them, because I've been taken advantage of by quite a few. And good thing they're online, because if they were in person, I probably would have done something I would have regretted. But it's life's lessons or blessings in disguise. And unfortunately, we got to learn the lesson unless it's going to be until it's repeated. Or how's that? You got to learn the lesson or else it's going to be repeated over and over again. And I've had to repeat a lot of life's lessons out there, which is really, really hard. So I think people you have life experience where you're at this stage. It's going to change from when you're a kid to a teenager to your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, so forth and so on. When I had the gym, I was able to serve everybody. And coming online, trying to do this is like, oh, well, I had ex-cons, I had lawyers, I had attorneys, I had judges, I had police and law enforcement, like everybody had kids, everybody came to the community to help each other, because it wasn't me that made the gym, it was the people that made it. And this was the things, and it was just the foundation. Nobody disrespected anybody. If they did, we would have sparring. We would spar, and I had elite fighters, MMA fighters, boxers, professional, amateur athletes all around. And it was like, hey, you need to be stronger, because whatever stage, this is going to pay dividends in your life later on. And if you can get through this, you can get through anything. And just remember this too: every storm eventually runs out of rain. Whatever storm people are going through, and we all have been through it. I've been through it in a pandemic. That freaking I had to close my gym. I had to learn technology, which I feel like sometimes I'm updated and then I'm already outdated. I'm like, what the heck? I learned this now. And then my kid's like, that was like 7 months ago, Dad. I was like, what? Like, but I'm like, okay, well, hey, we all have storms in our lives, and our test is our testimony, and you have to fire and rewire yourself to be the best version. And you go out and attack day. If you're here, your work is not done. It's still incomplete. Every night, like, get into sustainable a routine that works for you. And the best thing is we are, and this is going to hit home, we are the problem to all of our problems. And we are also the solution to all of our problems. Nobody's going to do it for you. You got to get off your ass and do it yourself. I had to learn technology. I was like, what? I don't know how to build a course. I built a course last year and I finished one this year. I was like, I did it. Oh my gosh. And I had to utilize help. It wasn't just me. It was utilizing professionals that know this and that can make it look better than what you can do. And it was like Burger King. I had it my way for a long time. I was a king of my own domain. Well, now, no way. I can't do it alone. I need help. And if you think you can do it alone, believe me, my ego was so far up there. It was like that butt whooping story. I need a team to build my dream team to help others out there. And everybody needs this. This podcast is one of my go-to listens to, straight up. Like, I was like, oh, let me listen to Brian before, and like, okay, see if I even vibe or if I want with them, because there's so many illusions and confusion by what people put out there. And when you're real and genuine and people are real and genuine, they can feel that, they know it. And it's like, yeah, like when I'm selling my courses, I was like, I don't know if I can help you until you get on the inside, until you actually pay and see if I can, and see if you're disciplined to do what it takes, then I'll know. But until then, how do you ever know if you're going to be able to do it? There's programs that come a dime a dozen. Well, mine's with the fitness and martial arts twist, and that's at home or at a gym. And it's like, it's easy to do, and it's easy to point blame and shame at others, when the blame and shame is yourself. You just got to start digging in and look at yourself. Are you doing what you need to do to get to that next level, whatever that level is? Work, kids. Like, the best thing is, on here, I'm still a volunteer coach at the high school wrestling team. And when I get to corner and coach some of these guys, it reminds me of me being back in the cage, or competing or coaching other guys. But this is at an elite level. I was like, hey, do you have your game plan? Do you know what you're going to do? I was like, hey, oh, I'm going to do this. I was like, I need to hear it. Like, if you're like the stuttering and all this, I was like, let me hear what you're going to do. Do you believe it? And I tell them, and you could see them, they're like, they get a little amped. I was like, all right, here's the deal. You need to borrow my belief, because I believe in you. You can do it. And the same thing in other things people are doing. I believe in anybody out there that they can do anything that they want, as long as it's legit and honest and ethical, and it's not gonna, and you can sleep at night. That is a huge ordeal. You know what I mean?
It is. And I love what you said. And I think you challenged me a minute ago, and you challenged the Bamboo Pack audience to take your last name, write it down, and create an acronym from it. Because I think I just wrote it down on my notepad. I'm going to work on that over the next few days. I think that kind of, whatever your name is, whether it's Smith, Bosley, or Chelsevic, that might be, she's going to have a challenge with that one. She got a lot of letters in that name. But whatever it is, it challenges you to focus on words that are important to you. It gives you a direction. And I think what you said earlier too, Jimmy, that so many of us can relate to or can learn from, is that we are the problem to all of our problems. And we are the solution to all of our problems. For anybody out there who's feeling sad and maybe some self-pity or some self-doubt, this is a good time to challenge the assumptions you've had in life, to challenge the assumptions you've made, and to admit to yourself that the problems I'm in are my problems. I'm the problem to the problem, but with that, there's kind of a degradation there for a moment. And then there's a strength in it that says, but I'm also the solution to the problem. So I would say all those strong things that you're saying with a bad voice, Jimmy, but I'm trying.
You're doing great, man. Hey, this is the thing. We're not always going to be 100%, but yet that's welcome to real life. Welcome to the persona. We could have canceled, we could have rescheduled till you had your voice back. But you know what? Honor and respect to you for doing this and being real and genuine. And that's a lost art in these days. And I appreciate it because I was super excited the day before. I was like, what? I was so excited. I called you a day ahead of time. I was like, whoa. But like, all right, because I think it's people have to go through life and they have to grow through it at the same time. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're not growing and if you're not learning or achieving or doing something to better yourself, then it's a self-reflection. You got to go in a new direction and nobody can do it for you. Look at yourself in the mirror and, some little things I have to do. I have to say a affirmation. I am great. I am wise. I am a great coach. I am the best at what I do. I serve people to the utmost that I can with no other motives besides them getting better. I give myself a mere high five while I'm brushing my teeth. Little, I learned this from Tony Robbins, like no extra time. Next time, what can you do? Well, when you're working out, listen to the bamboo podcast. Listen to something that's going to help you as opposed to hinder you. Because what you're putting into yourself, whether it's food, knowledge, TV, is it helping you or is it hindering you? You know the answer. Nobody else does.
It's never neutral.
No. The older I get, the less I tolerate. We get what we tolerate. And I was like, man, I don't want to tolerate this lifestyle no more. I don't want to be on this couch. Or I don't want to be doing this. Or I got aches and pains from years of training, of hard 39 years of training, my shoulders, my knee, and I'm still out there doing what I can do. I mix it up with the guys, but I'm like, don't hit me hard because I got some stuff you don't know about. And I just tell them that. And I'm like, thank God they didn't hit me hard because I might be knocked out or seeing Tweety Bird. You know what I mean? Like all of this stuff. But it's like putting things into reality. I feel in my mind that I'm that 20-year-old when in reality, dude, you got to be smart with your body. Don't do certain things that's going to hinder you. Don't be around certain people that's going to not bring out the best of you. You got, and the most powerful thing we have in this world is, you said it and I've heard it so many times on the podcast, is we all have a choice. That's it, and then, there's one thing that I used to say, and I don't mind it, I hope it's okay. I want to read you a little creed, a life creed that I would say before every class, kids class, women's class, adult class, and fighters class, like every class that I would say it, as I wrote this down, is today I will be too calm for worry, too noble for anger, and too strong for defeat. I will walk through fear without hesitation. I intend to develop myself in a positive manner and avoid anything that would reduce my mental growth or my physical health. I intend to develop self-discipline in order to bring out the best in myself and others. I intend to use what I learn in class constructively and defensively to help myself and others, and never to be abusive or offensive.
I love that. Can you do me a favor? Can you email or text that to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
But I
love that.
And I challenge other people to come up with their life creed, their name. What's their creed that they want to live by and stand by? And I've been off track, but the good thing is I know where the track is at. I just got to get back on track. You know what I mean? And if people don't know how to get there, well, reach out to somebody, a coach, myself, anybody, your community, a teacher. We all have resources. We just got to be resourceful with them.
I do. That's one thing this podcast to me has taught me, is that, I get to meet all these amazing people like you that I never would have been in contact with. And I realize that there are so many people surrounding each one of us that have such immense experience and such deep wisdom that we just don't tap into. And they're everywhere. Every one of you in the bamboo patch, you would have them. It's, it could be a younger person, it could be an older person, could be somebody your age. It doesn't really matter. There's wisdom surrounding you. Take advantage of it. Maybe I'm going to ask you a question. So if you and I right now, you and I are going to jump into a time machine. We're going to go back to that 16, that young man who was just laying on the canvas after 16 butt whooping. And you're going to pick him up, you're going to put him on a bench, and you're going to talk to him. What advice would you give that young version of yourself? Say, okay, here's some recipes for life and success.
I would say, shut up, keep your mouth shut. Like, listen more, talk less. Know that you are blessed throughout this life, and know that it's going to be hard, but there's going to be good times and bad times. But you got to be in the present time to make it whatever you decide, whatever direction you go in life. There's no right or wrong. It's just what's right for you. Listen to people that are here to help you, and neglect the people that are here to hurt you. And yeah, learn, just continue learning, continue being the best version that you can be at where you are at this moment. I see kids, I see adults, I see women. I had clients like, oh, I can't afford you. And I was like, no problem. I don't want to put stress on you. Let's like stop, go here, reconnect. They're like, really? I was like, dude, am I here for my pocketbook or am I here to help you? There's only two types of people in there, and be around better people that are going to challenge you and make you grow. And there's always going to be the circle of life. The circle of life, there's always going to be a person below you, a person at the same level of you, and a person above you. And you got to repeat that cycle and give back and learn and be at the same level and help others in the process.
So what I got out of that for the bamboo pack audience is then we can all use this. It doesn't matter if Jimmy's talking to this teenage version of himself or you're talking to yourself right now, whatever your age is. Shut up, listen more and talk less. You are blessed. Life is going to be hard. It was designed to be hard. If it was easy, we would stay weak. Be present with yourself. Be present. Honor the presence right now. Do what is right for you. Listen to people who are there to help you and ignore the people who are there to hurt you. I mean, how much wisdom is packed into that one paragraph right there? I mean, that's another one of those, like the other thing we said earlier, perseverance, presence, and gratitude. That right there, if you just practice those, tomorrow you're a better person. You practice them again tomorrow, 2 days from now, you're even a better person. Those 1% little improvements that you make every day. By the end of the year, you were 38 times better than you are today. And it's seemingly minor pieces of advice that Jimmy is dispensing that over time, when you do things and you start implementing these small practices, your life for 1 year, you are completely unrecognizable from who you are today. Jimmy, what's next for you?
I'm looking to build my business online and build courses, looking for partnerships, looking for marketing people, looking to be genuine with people, but also coaching people, like everything that I'm doing now, but just doing it in an online format. Because when I had the gym, that gym owned me and I could only get into the community of where I'm at. Now I'm looking to branch out. Like I tell people I'm internationally known. I have a pro boxer, Rocky Warren, who's down in Australia, that came back and visited, and we hit it off, and we were just, it was fun to spar with a pro when I had started out with the gym. But like now it's time to have people go through my courses, my app, membership, like talk, and looking to give back and do fundraising too, to help others that are less fortunate, help give back to the community, to kids that are in foster homes. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know it's out there and I planted the seed. Now it's time to just see what happens. And I know it's going to happen. I just don't know when, because now I have a deeper meaning that's here to help others in the process. And I can, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. I'm just on the learning stages. You know what I mean?
Isn't that such a fun place to be though? When you
Yes.
have that deeper meaning and you're kind of at the lower level of exploring that, and you're kind of advancing again. But it's like going to the whole new level of the mountain that you didn't even see before.
Yeah. You know, I was devastated. I cried my butt off when I had to close my gym because I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do? Well, I could be frozen in fear. Or I can just take it in action and just freaking conquer my own fear. And that's what I've done these last 2 years, 3 years, like just going on. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm adjusting, I'm adapting. I still do in-person training, but it's very limited because of I can't scale that. So I'm looking to like I'm looking forward to helping anybody into building my dream team that's going to be in the same ethics and morals and standards as me, that's here to help, not just make money that is a means to an end. It's only here. I can't remember what the bills I had to pay last month with XYZ that paid me. You know what I mean? But I can remember the freaking story. I can remember the girl's life I saved, the girl that was molested. And now she's like, hell no. And she's in college and protecting herself. Or I can remember that kid that was being bullied, that he could stand up to the guy and say no more without getting physical. I can remember that person that had that doubt right at the match, getting ready to go out there. I can remember the fighter. Okay, hey, it's the third round. What do you got to do? What do you got? You know what you got to do? Let's do it. Talk is cheap. Action is. Got to move into those action steps. And with life, you're going to experience the 6 P's. I call them pressure, persistence, process, problems. You're going to persevere, and then you will reach your paradise.
Can you say those again, please?
Yes, pressure, persistence, process, problems, persevere, and paradise. In order to get to paradise, you got to go through the other 5. You're gonna have pressure. You're gonna have persistence. You're gonna have you got to develop a process. You got to develop your process. You're gonna encounter a roadblock, problems. You're gonna have to persevere, and then when you see it, you're at paradise. I'm still in the pressure and persistence process right now, and I've been actually in the problems. I haven't reached the paradise to my standards, which is my paradise is 1,000,000 people that I'm going to help. That's my paradise.
Well, I think what I can do is ask the Bamboo Pack audience right now, let's support and help Jimmy reach those 1,000,000 people. Let's jump on his website, share his information. We're going to jump on his app, sign up for his courses, share it with people around the world that you care about who could benefit from having the life-changing transformation that Jimmy and his training can offer. And I know my son has already said he wants to do it. And so please, let's help Jimmy do that, because what he's doing, he's not saying help me because I want to make a bunch of money. He's saying help me because I want to help serve 1,000,000 people before I die. Let's get him there. All right, Jimmy, one last question before we wrap up today. That is kind of the net question that catches anything I missed. Is there any question that I didn't ask Jimmy that I should have asked, you wish I would have asked, or is there any final message you'd like to leave with the Bamboo Pack audience?
You know, I'm forever grateful for my wife, Sally. You know, she's been my rock behind all the crap I put her through, the trials and tribulations. And I'm so proud of my kids. I'm not always easygoing, as the kids can see. I'm a stress, all this, but you know what? I love them. I love you, Sally. I love you, Davey. I love you, Annalise. I love you, Sasha. And I love you, Jake, who's her husband. And yeah, I'm forever grateful. And I'm here for the rest of you guys, for the rest of my life, for you guys. I love you guys.
Yeah, you are an amazing preacher.
Thank you.
You are amazing. This episode is dedicated to Sally and your 3 children and your son-in-law.
Yes.
And I hope that this story gets out, and I want their words. I want their to be shared around the world, because I think there's no doubt that your wife is obviously a very amazing woman, supportive as she has been for you. And I think your children are going to go out there. They're going to get out there and change the world. So I think we'll probably hear their names in the future anyway. All
Yes,
right, Jimmy, we're getting ready to wrap up. I just want to tell you, I'm a little mind blown how vulnerable and strong you are. And it's just a complete honor, not just to have you on, but now to be able to consider you a friend. I've enjoyed the last few weeks of texting back and forth, and we're going to keep that going. And I talked to Jen a few days ago. I told her I'm going to try to fly out to Oregon soon. You know, I've got a lot I have old connections out there. I've got a lot of new ones for people like you and Jen that I met at the podcast. So I'm going to be out there this year, 2023, and we're going to get together.
awesome. I'm looking forward to having
give each other a big bear hug.
absolutely and it would be my honor and privilege, man, to meet you in person, not just online and all that stuff. And you're doing great things, Brian, and I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna tell you what my good friend down in LA, I call him Big E, Eric Wright. He's been my training partner for gosh, decades, 30, 20 years, 25 years. He's all, I'm gonna say, Brian, you all white, man. And this guy and Big E is a black guy, was 225 pounds, muscle bound, and I still stay in contact with him today. And he's still in LA, or excuse me, down in Orange or San Diego, somewhere down there. But anyways, it's shout out to him as well.
Big E, this one's for you as well. All right, Jimmy, from the bottom of my heart, my friend, I want to spend a few minutes with you on the phone after we're done taping, but from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for being such a strong, vulnerable, and amazing and really highly inspirational guest on the Bamboo Lab podcast.
Thank you, Brian. It was my honor and my privilege, and it means a lot to me, and I appreciate your time.
Appreciate yours. All right, Bamboo Pack listeners, thank you again for signing in, listening in. Again, this is one of those episodes where I'm really highly urge you to subscribe, rate, review us, hit that like button, and share it with 3 people you love. Just 3 people. Text it, email it, put it on your social media. Let Jimmy's story, his journey, and his wisdom, and the life transformational things he's doing for the world, let other people hear this. Because again, just by listening to his story and his wisdom, their lives can be completely transformed. In the meantime, until next time, everyone, get out there, please sculpt your life. Please strive for your best. Show love and respect to others around you. And by all means, live intentionally. I appreciate each and every single one of you. All right, Jimmy, we're off there. That was amazing, brother.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Like I say too many things, and I tell too many personal stories of tragedies I've gone through, challenges, I should say. But I don't care. You're the kind of guy who doesn't care either, because that's the only way we can impact the world.
Yeah.
So we tell them where we come from, what we've gone through.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. It's like, I don't know. I want people to be there. Like when I started talking with my mom and being able to, like, that was that was probably one of the hardest things ever, hearing your mom say no to you. And then when she died, well, I mean, she passed away from stress and drugs. And I mean, there was so much in there. And I was like, I don't want to say that. Like my whole family is messed up and we are all choosing our path. But I'm like, I had to cut my ties and leave LA because I didn't want to have my kids down there. And my wife, Sally, like that's the one that changed my life. And I told her that. And I think just recently, as I'm having more at home time, I'm being able to think more and like cook dinner for her when she was cooking dinner for me, and I would not even come home and eat until 10 o'clock at night, and I would be gone from 5 because I would be at the mercy of my clients, training them to make them. And at the time, that's what I had to do. But like I missed the time of me growing up with my kids. But my kids, I want them to be known forever that your dad loves them. And yeah, I ain't the best dad. I'm not a saint. I lose it and all that. But it's like, man, the reality of it is my love for you is never going to change. It's ingrained in my heart, even though they screw up and do this. I was like, I, I'll I'll whoop my kids, but I'm the only one that can put my hands on my kids. You know what I mean? Like I tell Davey, like, okay, hey man, you're an elite wrestler and all this, and let's put the gloves on because this is literally how I can hit you and get away with it, like safely. You know what I mean? But and he's like, oh no. I was like, oh, and I'll drop everybody with a gut shot because that's easier to make them know that I can still get them. And I'm like, oh, my times are coming, but it's on there, but it's just like it's a lost art. And I think
that's okay.
Oh, gotcha.
They're talking. I'm getting this podcast set up already. So
oh wow.
I just wanted to put it into the software right now so I can make sure I get this edited quickly. Because what happens now, Jimmy, is I'll do the editing of the podcast. I probably won't have to edit any of what we just did today, but I'll put on the professional voiceover. I'll put it in the body of the text. In fact, if you can send me that creed.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to put that in the text of it because I think that's so powerful.
Absolutely.
People read, a lot of times they read the podcast to see what it's about before they get on. So I put some words, and what'll happen, I'll get it all done. And then the first person who gets a copy is my mother. I text a copy to her because she loves to listen to that when she goes to bed at night. And within seconds after her getting a copy, I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, cool.
It'll probably happen today yet, tonight, or at the very latest tomorrow morning. And as soon as you get it, Jimmy,
send it Brian Bosley, right?
Brian, my email is Brian at bamboolab3.com.
Gotcha.
And so, Jimmy, when you get a copy of the podcast, what I'll do is I'll email you a copy and I'll text you a copy. It'll be just as it goes. It's not going to go out. I have 3 podcasts that we did this week. I don't know what order they're going to go out. It could go out Monday, it could go out the following Monday, it could go out the following Monday. But as soon as you get it, you do with it whatever you want. What I would recommend is put it on your website. You'll send it, email it, text it to friends, put it on all your social media sites. Don't wait for it to go live to the world.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So how do I put it on the site? You send me a downloadable version. Is that the one that you sent me with your son?
Yeah, that I texted that one to you. So you could take that, you could click on it, copy, and you can paste it to people to text it to them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When I send it to you by email, or even or you can click on it on your phone, on your text or email, and then it'll come up. Then you'll see that from there you can post it. It'll say you'll have a little symbol for LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Then you just click that, and it'll go right to your site.
Okay, cool.
You shoot me a call for the problem because I can walk you through it. I probably do this every week, so it's pretty interesting. What we find is that, like, I did one 2 days ago, and it's not going to go out for probably 2 weeks. But I told her, I said, you're going to get a copy of it today. And she started that night. She put on all her social media sites, and the thing's already taken off, and it hasn't even gone out to the world yet. But people, and that makes it get traction. And then when it goes out to the world, so to speak, to our subscribers, it just has that much more momentum behind it.
Heck yeah. Well, yeah. And if I can, whenever you get that, let me know. Like if you're okay with, I would want to put it out earlier and then. Okay, cool.
It helps the podcast a great deal. So, and my thoughts are, it's get your message out. I try to time my podcast. I always do at least one every week, but in some weeks I put 2 out. But I don't know if I'm going to do that because I'm finding if I do 1 a week, they tend to do a little bit better.
Right.
Because it's if you put 2 out, sometimes it pollutes the other one. They kind of compete against each other, so to speak.
Gotcha.
But it'll always go out Monday mornings I'm testing it for 4 or 5 a.m. Eastern. I'm trying to determine which is the best time. I'm looking at numbers. It looks like 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when it will go out to our subscribers. But you can, as soon as you get it, man, start putting. The only thing I ask you, Jimmy, is if you put it on a social media site like Facebook, where you and I are friends, if you could tag me on that, that would be great, because it brings in my listeners from my friends from Facebook too, and it just gives a little more exposure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just going to say, yeah. Hey, just did a podcast with Brian Bosley. Check it out. Less is best. Listen.
That's what, that's what everybody's been doing. It's a podcast, and I want to make sure the audio is good on it too. That's what I'll do once it's downloaded onto the software, and when it gets on the software, that I can pull it up on the computer and see how it sounded. I might have to make some adjustments, but normally it's usually good enough to, if it's good quality. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, so I'm going to start working on this right now, and actually, I got to run some lunch to my son because he's working. Well, we're up at my daughter's.
Okay.
He did work here today, so I said I'll bring my equipment and work at her office. So,
hey, I just emailed you that real quick too. Did you get it?
I just saw it came through.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
The creed, yeah, that's gonna be great.
But at least
I'm gonna put that right. Is that something you created?
No, I copied that from another coach out in Colorado. It was kind of like the principles, but it's a life creed that I like more than I'm a sensei, power of, power of this, power of that. I'm going to strike until I break you type deal. And it was just like, I added some little tweaks to it to make it towards me. You know what I mean? But it was a generic, and I just added some of those, and I shortened it up too. Actually, I'll send you the shorter. This is what I had on the back of my business cards. Oops, I'll send this. I should have sent that to you on there. Same thing, but a shorter version, like bullet points. But I think that might help other people. Like, hey, here's a quick reference. Like there's a 4 agreements that I have. That's like, oh, that's a huge ordeal. And those 4 agreements I have in my wallet. So here's a short creed.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I like the one you read off. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, that was the one that I read off in there, so it's relatable and it's the same thing. So if anybody, whatever you think, you know it better than me, and I just appreciating you letting me know up front that, like, you appreciate me and being vulnerable, and I think that's what people need.
They do, and I had a guy who was a children's homicide detective in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was on the air, and he was crying and opened up to being abused by his mother as a child, and that was the first time he'd ever shared it openly publicly. And those people just really respond to being able to be so vulnerable and strong at the same time, because vulnerability is strength.
Yeah.
When you hold things in, that's a sign of cowardice and weakness.
Yeah, I don't know if you could hear, but I started chuckling a little bit when I was talking about my mom telling me, "Go, no, it was better."
Yeah, that was I heard you.
Okay.
I had a lump in my throat, along with a scratchy throat. I had a lump.
Yeah. But
my friend, well, I'm going to jump off so I can get this work on. I'll be in touch with you in the next 24 hours with getting something to you. Any questions, just shoot me a call or a text, Jimmy. I'll be glad to walk you through it, and let's stay in touch. Yeah.
One question, and maybe you can send me bullet points, is I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't know how to utilize that. So whatever I can post or whatever, Jimmy, just do this, that. I know how to do Facebook, and I know how to do Facebook, and I'm going to put it on my business page and on my personal page, and also on my Smith Warrior page, which is a free page. So anything that here, Jimmy, post this. Here's the platform. Do it on this LinkedIn, Facebook. I got, but I don't understand Instagram as much. You know what I mean? But I'm learning.
I've had a hard time posting the website on Instagram.
Okay.
What I'll do is I will listen to the podcast in the next few days, and I'll find a sound bite. It'll be a 60-second sound bite. Like I sent you the one of my son, I think.
Yes.
And then I put that on. Oh, I can put that on all those. That kind of gets people geared up for, okay, this is coming out January, blah, blah, blah. Gotcha. And listen to Jimmy Smith on January, whatever the date is. And here's a sound bite. And it just kind of gets people, geared up to it. They want to watch that podcast, listen to that podcast.
Gotcha.
So, but otherwise, I don't really know how to put the actual podcast
Oh.
on Instagram. I don't think so.
No worries. Well, I'll,
It's just a couple of clicks of the button on the, so, and I can walk you through it in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. It's pretty
oh,
simple.
okay. Very cool.
And trust me, I didn't know either. I had hired somebody last summer to help me with this. I had no idea how to do any of that. So
Right on. Well,
you're in good company.
we'll learn together and grow together at the same time, brother.
I like that. That's a good life plan for both of us.
Heck yeah.
And I appreciate our new developed friendship, and we're going to stay in touch for over the next several years and decades.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to shaking your hand and giving you a bear hug as well in person too when you're out here.
Oh, it's going to happen. That's one of my plans for this year for sure. I've got too many great friends and connections out there now. It's a time to go. Time to go back.
Right on, Ryan. Well,
all right, brother. I'll be in touch in the next 24 hours. And anytime, God bless you and God bless your family.
thank you. And the same to you and yours as well.
Thanks, brother.
Okay. Bye.